Right, very welcome to this episode today. If this is the first time you're listening, I want to say extra welcome. And I want to start this by saying that Mark Zuckerberg, the guy who started Facebook, he said something like this. The biggest risk is to not take a risk at all. I like that quote. And in today's episode, I invited a man named Don Lineo. And I would call him a professional risk taker, but that's just for my own kind of guess. And the reason I say that is that Don, he has started multiple companies for his own, and he's at the moment helping young people to understand how to start your own business. And I'm guessing that would mean that you're practicing a lot of risk taking. So I want to say, Don, welcome to you to this interview. How are you feeling at the moment?
Thank you, Spirit. I'm feeling just fine, enjoying the Swedish amazing fall weather. It's raining outside, but I'm feeling as good as I can still. Thank you.
Where would you say your energy is? Do you rate your energy?
Like from 1 to 10?
And 1 to 100.
1 to 100, I would say like 99, because I just had a most amazing introduction to a podcast ever from you. So I guess you took me from maybe 70 up to 99.
Nice. It's raining outside, but on the inside, it's sunny. So I want to kick off here to talk about, like, does the world benefit from young people opening up their own businesses, and how is that?
It's a good question. I indeed think it does. I think small businesses are important for job creation and also entrepreneurial skills one can acquire by and learning by running a business is an important skill that can be used whenever in life. So I would say, yes, the world can really benefit from more young people opening up their own businesses.
It makes sense, right? That we need companies, and at the same time I'm feeling that kind of like I see so many companies and we're producing stuff. Could it backfire on the whole of the environment? Could it pollute more to open up more, or do you have another view of this? Does the environment benefit from young people opening up more companies? Do you have any ideas in this direction?
Yeah, so we at Young Drive preferably would like to talk about entrepreneurship rather than businesses. And I think like the concept of entrepreneurship is not only about starting your own business, but it's something that can be used wherever and whenever. We can see it in politics, we can see it in big corps, in school, NGOs, governmental organizations. And I think like great.com is one example of using entrepreneurship to make an impact. And we can see that Eric, your colleague, is using his skills and traits to run a cash flow generating business. And now he's taking the same methods to running an NGO. And at the same time, I don't believe that entrepreneurship itself will fix the environment or the climate. But I think that if we can equip more people with entrepreneurship and the tools and skills that you can gain from entrepreneurship, and combine it with the love for nature and the environment, I guess that can and will become a better sauce to eat. So yeah, I think like businesses, of course, can have a negative impact on the environment, but I think entrepreneurship as a tool is a factor and something that we need to fix the environment as well.
You're pinpointing exactly my gut feeling. I like the results of more companies. I'm not sure about that, but the skill of entrepreneurship, I like that definition to separate those. So Don, you are kind of the operational manager in a project called Young Drive. How would you explain that project that you're doing to help young people with someone who doesn't know what it is that you're doing?
And so the short version of what Young Drive is that it's basically an entrepreneurship training program for youth in developing countries. So we have carried out trainings in Botswana, Zambia, and Uganda so far. And the mother organization for Young Drive is named Ung Drive, and actually comes from Gnosjö in Småland here in Sweden. Is run by Stefan and Linda Falk-Boman. Young Drive on our side is run by a small team where all of us have full-time employments or run our own businesses as our head thing. But we do this on the side because we all believe in the entrepreneurship training program that we have been developed for a couple of years now. And Young Drive is mainly like trainings that we carry out in Uganda today is mainly run by a fantastic project manager or country manager named Josefina. And as of today, we have roughly had about 7,000 seats in our trainings throughout the years. And I mean, one reason for Young Drive being developed or being born is that in Sweden, for example, we talk about how to prepare youth to acquire skills to be able to get a job. But when you look at in a lot of rural areas, for example, in Uganda, there are not that many jobs to search for. So people will need to find another way to make a living. And this is where the entrepreneurship comes in. So what we do is that we carry out a 10-step training with one new module every week. And we train coaches from local communities that we work with. And we take the coaches to a training session which we have for about 1 week. During this week, we give them the tools and the skills to carry out the training in their own home communities. So we actually don't meet the youth during the training. It's the local coaches who does. So the local coaches go back to their own communities with the skills that we have teach them during this week to train groups of youth with a 10-step training. So they meet like every week or maybe every second week where they go through different topics. One topic could be ideation, how to come up with a business idea. One could be sales, one could be marketing, one could be financial literacy or reinvestment. And the goal with this 10-step training program is when the youth actually leaves the Young Drive training, they should have gained the tools to become financially self-sustainable. So if we look at one of our latest trainings, which was run by Josefina, the results were, I think we had like 6,000 youth going through the training. We had 60 local coaches who were trained by 2 local product managers. So we train product managers who train the coaches, who train the youth. And before the training, I think like 43% of the youth were running a business, and an additional 30% had started a business during the training. 6 months after the training, 99% of the youth were running a business, and 94% said that Young Drive made their business more successful. Of course, this is we ask the questions to the participants. So we take like the result with like a pinch of salt, we say in Sweden.
Right.
And we try to work really data driven. So we don't trust these numbers to 100%. And we are very like crystal clear when we speak to people that these are open-ended questions to the youth. So they can, and we don't data validate all the numbers, but at least it's a kind of indication on what kind of impact the training does. And the total budget for this project with 6,000 youth was $20,000, giving a cost of about 3.5 per youth. And I don't know if I have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Put in a disclaimer that great.com was a funding partner to this project as well.
Right, that's true. So Eric Bergman, who's the founder of Great, he's been helping out with one of the projects. Is that it? And enabling for some of these youth people to get this education. So are you saying that it cost $3.5 per youth to go through this training?
Yeah, so I think our most yes, that is what I'm saying. But our most like cost-effective training, we were able to push down the cost per youth to about $1. But we don't think we will be able to hold that low cost. But the ambition and the vision for Young Drive is to build the most scalable and cost-effective youth entrepreneurship training program. So the cost per youth is an important unit economics for us to work with. And we are able to keep the costs down because we're trying to build Young Drive as a plug-in solution. So we plug in our training sessions or our training program to already existing NGOs or existing infrastructure on site.
Okay, so the challenges other kind of organizations would have to go through, you are making sure that you're only established in places where you actually get the access to what would be a typical advantage that, what does that look like, the plugging for you?
So imagine like we a couple of years ago we had a major project together with Plan International. So Plan International had initiated a program where they used so-called saving groups. A saving group is a group where youth meet to actually save money into a physical box. So they meet every week or every second week to actually put in money into a box, and they use this box to borrow money from the group, and they pay an interest rate to the group as a whole. So while the youth are already meeting to save money, we can use that saving group structure to actually train them into entrepreneurship. And this project was built in a way that NGOs also came into the saving groups, teaching them about maybe agriculture. And we were then adding how to sell the products that you're farming into it, how to differentiate from other people who are selling the same products, how to create a more diverse economy for yourself if the crops are not growing as you had planned, etc. So saving groups could be one structure where we actually plug in. It could also be other structures such as schools. We could use the Young Drive training program to plug into existing schools, which we actually did in Botswana during the pilot program. Was it back in 2012 or something? I think so, yeah.
Okay, see if I got this right here. So you go to places where they're already having a group that is educating themselves in a topic that might be similar to economics, and then you just add on kind of new class. You're giving the kids a new class. Okay. And so that's the model of why it would be able to then scale it down to such a, because that's quite crazy, like saying that you could give a 10-week course for $1 per person. That is amazing. Yeah.
It is. And I think like the structure itself, it has come from us just wanting to do this, us not having the money to build an organization for ourselves. So what we have done is try to find as effective ways to scale as possible. And that thing has turned out to work pretty fine. And I think like being able to carry out youth or the training program within entrepreneurship to developing countries feels really important. I read a report from ILO, the International Labour Organization, stating that about 621 million young people aged 15 to 24 years old are not in education, employment, or training. That's a huge number of people, and being able to give as many people as possible the tools to become financially self-sustainable feels pretty important, because the consequences of these people not finding a way to get financially self-sustainable or to get a job or to find a meaningful life could be quite damaging to all of us.
Right. I'm sensing here, is this just so you already educated 7,000 young people, and would this be the first step here to start educating people are you also seeing like the next step of how this would affect society? Are you expecting any changes that you're expecting to see here in the bigger picture of how that would change society in itself?
And that's also a good question. I think like the total number of youth or training seats that we've had so far is 17,000. But if we look at the latest training we did, where we had 6,000 youth, they were in average employing 1.5 people. And that's one way to actually get a greater impact. What happens when these businesses actually start to hiring people, hiring their friends, scaling up their businesses? Our main focus is to be with the youth during the start of their businesses. We have done what we call also a level 2 training, meaning that after this 10-week program, we can go deeper into certain topics for those who wish to scale their businesses even more. But I don't think like that's not our main focus. We've just done it because we had the opportunity and we felt that it was someone needed to do it, and if not us, then who? So we did.
I'm looking at the clock here to see where we should go, and we're getting closer towards the end here. So I will also like to know here, because you actually gave me an understanding of what Young Drive does and why that will be like a good investment to if I'm anyway gonna donate, then I understand better what I would get for the money here. So like, is that the way people could support you, with donations? Are you looking for any other kind of support in this?
Yeah, I think like funding is our main concern right now. We are pretty bad at doing PR, but we are really great at doing the entrepreneurship training projects. But not being great at doing PR means that you don't get a lot of attention, and then you don't get a lot of funding. So we are right now focusing on increasing funding so that we can carry out even more trainings. And because today we're doing everything like ad hoc, when we have the time, when we have the funds, we go fix things and carry out the trainings. But yeah, funding is something that we're looking for, and people can just go into our website youngdrive.io to read more about us and get in contact with any one of us if they want to.
I love that. The people who are great at caring and horrible at funding, that's someone you can trust. Like, so that's that actually gives you kind of credit. Like, I believe you more if you're saying that. Fuck, I don't know how to do this in a sense. So, right. So funding would be one part to help kind of educate more kids or more young people in this. Right. Before we close here today, is there anything else that you would really want to address here as the last thing in this short interview?
No, I just want to send regards to you guys at Great. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And it's pretty fun to follow your journey as the most controversial NGO or organization out there. I think you're doing exciting stuff, and it's quite nice to follow your journey as well.
Thank you. It's I usually have interviews with people who don't have a relationship back to Great, so it's interesting to hear your views on what Great is doing. So thank you. Yes, we are. We put a lot of donations this year towards the rainforest, which feels really good to be able to help in that direction, because there's so many places you could fund towards, right? So I heard a great quote here saying, actually, do you have a final quote to this interview? Any final quote?
Oh, no pressure there.
Right, no pressure.
I mean, the slogan for Young Drive is just our vision is to build the most scalable and cost-effective entrepreneurship training program on earth. And we have taken the first few steps, and we're really looking forward to take the other steps as well.
You're proving the concept, it works. And if I say dream big, start small, what do you feel? right?
It's time to go. It's time to go to work.
So thank you very much for taking your time. And I really hope that you really grow more than you can grow for the next 12 months coming up, right?
Thank you, Spirit.
Of course. Yes.